Well, good evening. Welcome to this seminar. Um, that's me there. That's my name and uh, my email address and my telephone number there for you. Tell you something. This is just for new people here today. My name is Peter Hogan. I've been a business and self-employed since 1974. I've been a property investor for 36 years. Bought my first buy-to-let property in March 1986. Done enormous amount in property since then. I'm an author of about half a dozen books or so. I'm a mentor and an educator. I've taught a lot of people how to get buying property, and I'm hoping I can teach you a lot tonight. Now, my business partner there, John, is going to tell you a little bit about himself. Where you go, John?
Thanks very much, Peter, and welcome everyone. It's great to see you all here again. And I think this is, I believe, our fifth meeting that we've done. And just a bit of background about myself. So I'm Jonathan, and I work in marketing and my marketing, the debt marketing services. We build new websites for businesses, search engine optimization, so getting to the top of Google, and general overall communications. But my role this evening is, as always, to assist Peter the best I can. And we'll be doing some Q&A sessions at the end, guys. So if you have any questions at all, please put them in the chat box, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of the presentation. So thanks very much, and obviously look forward to what you've got to say, Peter.
Thanks, John. Thank you. And everybody, if you've got any kind of internet web work, what needs doing, SEO, websites built, social media stuff, come and see John. He's an absolute whiz at it. Which is why he's my partner. There you go. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I am the only person in the country, and quite possibly the world, that teaches adverse possession as a strategy. How about that? You can't learn this stuff anywhere else. I'm at the top of the tree in adverse possession, certainly in this country. I advise solicitors on it, because solicitors, believe it or not, don't get taught about adverse possession when they're learning their trade. If you know, they have to go and learn it separately if they want to practice it. So I get a lot of solicitors going and asking my advice on various stuff regarding this. Now, this course is designed for property investors, and it's the only course in the world. It's not a course, it's a webinar. It's the only one in the country, if not the world. Now, you know about squatting, of course. You've seen it on the news. Usually when the squatters have been evicted from a trashed, graffiti-daubed shell of what used to be a home, and you've probably gone tut, probably saying something like disgraceful, it shouldn't be allowed. Well, it is allowed, and it's legal. It's 100% legal, which is why a tramp called Harry Hallows, who lived in the shed in the grounds of a £4 million mansion in London, was granted full legal title to the whole property. That's a famous case. The guy's dead now. He died some years ago, but it was in the 1970s. He made the news back then. He only lived in a shed in the garden, but he got the whole £4 million mansion. How about that? Now, this whole thing, there's a law, and the law is called the law of adverse possession. And tonight we're going to show you how you can legally claim full title to land and property. That will enable you to build a massive portfolio from empty and abandoned land and property. Now, I'm going to tell you, the High Court in London has declared that this is right and proper. They have said that given the state of housing in this country and the amount of people who don't have homes, it is not right for land and property to be sitting empty, and it is right and proper for people to claim it. So there you go. And in fact, the Grand Chamber of the European Court of Human Rights has declared it is legal. But we do not deprive people of their property. You can do that, but I don't do it. It's a matter of morals here. I do not take something off somebody when it's their property. I only take property, and I only advise people to take property when you can't find the owner. That's very important. For one thing, it saves you an awful lot of trouble down the line. So don't try and take land or property off somebody when you can find the owner. It's not worth the trouble. Now, there's a lot of history to this law. It's one of the oldest laws going in the country, and it started in 1066 with a guy called William the Conqueror. Now, he's some French guy, and he jumped over the channel to Hastings, so the Battle of Hastings, and he shot King Harold in the eye with an arrow, killed Harold, declared himself King William of England, got the train up to London, got a taxi down to the Houses of Parliament, and there you were. He was there. King of England. Now, he had a few problems when he did that, because of course he only had a fighting force when he landed. He didn't have the infrastructure to kind of run a country, and it was a little bit of chaos at first. He certainly couldn't, come Sunderland, there's no way he could get up there to do much about it, or Wales. So what he did, he divided the whole country into small areas, like little estates, just under 50 of the whole country. And over each estate, each piece of land, he created a title, a lordship. Now, this lord was a lord of whatever the estate is, and he got the land free, but there were duties that came with it. One of the things he had to do was supply the crown with food, either crops or with with meat, or they had to supply the crown with troops. So he had to recruit and train people who lived on his land, and he was the leader of them. If there's a war, then he had to march off to war with the king and taking all his followers with him. Now, in 1066, life wasn't as long as it is now. In fact, the average life expectancy was about early 40s, mid 40s. So people died, and these lords were always dying off left, right, and centre, which meant that particular state was left with nobody to control it. Now, serfs and people being what they are, they decided, the lord's dead, I'm not going to work today, and they didn't bother turning into work. And it became quite chaotic. So the law was passed that enabled anybody to take over vacant land, a vacant estate, if the king died and there was nobody there. So somebody else could walk in and take over it. Good job. The serfs didn't know that. I'll say the Cameron to do it. But obviously, it was the titled people who knew that. And they could go in and they could take the land. Not only that, but the lord of the land, he could actually sell off parts of his land. He could, as much as he liked, he could, could divide it in half. He could sell parts off. But what happened was that when he sold or gave away parts of his land, his title went with it, or part of his title went with it. So it created another title. So even today, if you take a property, I mean, almost all the land and property you get that won't have a title with it. But there is land that you can buy or you can claim that does have a title with it. And guess what I've done? I've got land in Glencoe, Scotland, and I am Lord Peter Hogan of Glencoe. You can stop bowing now. You can stop bowing. I'm Lord Peter Hogan of Glencoe, Scotland, and that title is with me for life, and that goes down to children if I ever decide to have any. Not likely at my age, but if I did, then that title will be handed down to them, and it's a lordship, completely legal and recognised. It can go on my passport, go on my credit cards. I can put it, on my business cards. That's a business card. I can use it all the time. Lord, you can use the title, and lady incidentally as well, not just Lord but lady as well. And there's my certificate, which makes the whole thing legal. But what makes adverse possession legal today? What makes it legal to go in and take property just because it's empty? Well, the thing that justifies it today is something written by the Ministry of Justice. It's a circular. It's a circular number 2012-004. Now you can Google that. If you Google Ministry of Justice, circular number 2012-04, you will find this this declaration. It's not a declaration. It's called the offence of squatting in a residential building. It determines what is legal and what is illegal about it. Now, you, like I've said before, you probably think that squatting is illegal. It's not. Nowhere near. Never has been. What is illegal is trespassing. And what makes it legal is the difference between the words trespassing and squatting. Squatting is 100% legal. Trespassing is illegal. And the difference between the two is the length of time a property has been empty. If that property or land has been empty for less than 6 months and you go on it, you're trespassing. If it's been empty for more than 6 months and you go on it, you're squatting, and it's legal. And that's the difference. That's the difference between those two words, trespassing and squatting. So if you want to do this, and this is a problem like people have, you see it on the news, somebody's gone to Spain on holiday for 3 months, and somebody, the squatter jump into their house and trash it and burn the furniture in the garden, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's illegal because the property hasn't been empty for 6 months. So that's it. Trespassing illegal, squatting is legal. Now, that paper, the Ministry of Justice as written, in it, it says this. It says, an offence is committed when a person is in a residential building, or it can be a commercial building. Certainly, they say residential because they're alluding only to residential building here. But this covers commercial buildings as well. But we'll go with what they say. A person is in a residential building as a trespasser, having entered it as such. Now, like I said before, if the building for 6 months or more, you haven't entered it as a trespasser, you've entered it as a squatter, and that is, you've committed no offence. The person knows or ought to know that they're a trespasser. Well, if you've got this paper from the Minister of Justice, then you know that you're not a trespasser, and you know that you're a squatter, and you should know the difference, and you should know what you are. And this is important. The offence will not capture someone who enters a property in good faith, reasonably believing they have permission to do so. What that actually means in law is that it's totally irrelevant whether you're breaking the law or not, as long as you reasonably believe you have permission to do so. Now, I think you'll agree that having read that paper from the Ministry of Justice that says all that, the offence will not capture someone who enters a property in good faith, reasonably believe they have permission to do so. And the first line there, the person is in a residential building as a trespasser, having entered it. So once you understand that, then it's reasonable to believe that you're not breaking the law, right? And it doesn't matter what any copper down the road says, they don't know the law. Believe you me, they do not know. They haven't got a clue what this is about. And you can run rings around them if they ever try and kick you out. They just cannot do it. They can't kick you out. So as long as you reasonably believe that you're not breaking the law, you're not breaking the law. And as long as you don't enter as a trespasser, but you enter as a squatter, then you are not breaking the law. And you can do what you like with that property. There you go. That's putting your mind at rest about this. It's completely legal. You're not breaking the law to do it. You can put your mind at rest. And the police can't kick you out. They cannot kick you out. Now, many aspects of law have changed over the years. And mostly, let's face it, from a law that's been going since 1066, you can imagine that there's been many attempts legally to change it and you know, to fight the law over the years, and there's many changes, been many changes to it. Mostly about the time you have to have held it before you hold the land or the property before you can get the title to it. Now, initially, it was the same day as the Lord died or whatever, in 1066. But then it changed. It became 6 months. Then it became during the lifetime of the previous king or queen of England. You know, so it could have been a day or 50 years or whatever. For many years, it was 10 years. It was 10 years. But in 2002, that changed, and it became 10 years for registered property and 12 years for unregistered property. Now, what that means, holding time, is that it means that's the amount of time between you entering a property and declaring it as yours and the time you actually get the full legal title to it. Now, for registered property, you've got to hold it for 10 years. And for unregistered property, you've got to hold it for 12 years. And the funny thing is, and I've been doing this for a long time, you'll be surprised about how many people have said to me, I just can't be bothered waiting that long. And I say to them, well, what else are you going to do for the next 10 or 12 years? Of course you can wait. It doesn't matter. But the thing is, you're not waiting, you know, you're not waiting. But if you really don't want to hang around for 10 years, go to America. Because in America, the holding time is only 5 years, although you do have to pay state taxes for those 5 years. And in Europe, it's 20 years. So you might want to do it here or America. And America is actually a great place to do it. You can do it, and you can do it from here. You don't have to be living in America. And there's lots and lots of rented property, say Florida, where you can go and you can use it completely legally. You can do it. So I can't be bothered waiting that long. Well, let me tell you something. You can buy and sell accrued time. So you don't have to wait 10 or 12 years. You can buy somebody else's time. Or if you get fed up doing it, you can sell your own time. Not only that, but the time that you're accruing, you can pass down to your family. You can put it in your will and pass it to your family. So you can leave it to your kids. So if you die during 8 years through the time, your kids will get that 8 years of time. So they've only got to wait 2 years. I'll tell you a true story. In maybe 10 or 12 years ago, I was doing a course in Leeds, and there's a guy on there. And I was explaining this thing about buying and selling accrued time. There's a guy in the course, and he was explaining to me that there's a very, very well-known, or there was a very, very well-known squat in Leeds city centre. There's one of these big houses that you get in city centres, and it was full of squatters. And he said, "Can I go and buy their time?" I said, "Of course you can." He said, "How do I do it?" I said, "Just go to a solicitor, take them to a solicitor and just do it. So you get something legal to do it and pay them whatever you've agreed to do it." So they'd been in there for 5 years. He agreed to pay the squatters. I think there were 8 squatters in there. He agreed to pay them 5 grand in total. He took them to a solicitor. He paid the 5 grand. They signed the paper and he got their time. He then gave them a written paper allowing them to live for another five years in that property without having any rights to the property. So he got the time. He got the next 5 years. He sold that, and I think at the time he got it was £790,000 he got for it, worth well over £1 million now. So there you go. It works that easily. Now I get people saying to me, "Yeah, how do you find that land and property?" Well, I was just talking to John before he came on, and I said, "How far from home do you live, John?" He said, "About 10 minutes drive." I said, "I can guarantee 100% that you have passed land and property on your way to work. And I bet you have as well. It is everywhere, but you don't notice it. You don't notice it because you're not looking for it. So how do you find it? Well, driving around is a good way to do it. And I had somebody on the last course I ran, which was a few years ago. I don't do the courses anymore, but I had a lady on the course, and she went out the following week she went out, drove around East London. She lived in East London, drove around East London, found a house. Within 2 weeks, she'd claimed that house, she'd entered it, she'd done some basic refurbs in there and let it out. And that was making her £1,500 a month net. Remember, she's not paying a mortgage on it. And as far as I know, she's still got it. In fact, I know she's got others since then. So driving around is a fantastic way to find empty properties. You'll see that once you start looking for them, you see them. And it's funny how you don't see them until you start looking for them. Postmen are a fantastic thing. They see them, obviously, they know. They're knocking on all the doors. So you grab your local postman and say, "Listen, do me a favor, keep your eye out for empty properties, especially, ones that have been empty for over 6 months. And I'll give you 10 quid for each notification you give me." He'll love it. He'll do that for you. And of course, Google Earth is a fantastic one. That's great for looking at land, especially land within the cities. You don't want to go out into the green areas so much because that might be difficult to build on later down the line. But there's so much empty land within cities and towns, and Google Earth flying over it, you can see it, and it stands at a mile. And I'll show you some examples later on that let you see it. And of course, Google Earth Street View now is, you can go on Street View and you can see properties, although that's not that easy, but it's a good one to check out a property once your postman's told you about it. Now, what do you do when you find suitable land or property? Well, what you have to do is claim it as yours. Now, there's no place you can do it. You can't go to Land Registry and say, "I claim this property." You can't, there's nothing you can do. You have to do it, but you have to be able to prove down the line that you have done it and you did it when you said you did it. And the way you do it is by printing off a notice like this: "Private property, keep off your name." Don't put Jim Brown on there, put your name on there. And you have to put your name on there and the mobile number. Don't put property mentoring coach, that's mine there. And just put that on there. Now, that fulfills certain criteria that you need to fulfill. And we'll cover that line of lane, but I'll tell you now. One of the things is you can't do this in private. People have to know what you're doing. If you do it in private, you will not get your claim down the line. So that's why you put your name down there. Put your phone number on there. And what I suggest you do is go to Tesco and just buy a little mobile phone, 15 quid or whatever they are, and just use that. Don't answer calls on it, but you need that for a reason. I'll explain that down the line as well, why you do that. And put private property keep off. That means you're keeping it exclusive. It's yours and no one else's. You're telling other people to get off. And that notice, when it goes on, satisfies legal criteria that you need to claim your title down the road. That's all you need. Print it off an A4 paper, do a number of them, because they will get ripped off the property. Do 10 of them, laminate them, go down the property and stick it on the front door. Now, when you get there, and you take that picture like that of you in the front property, you need to take somebody with you, and they take a picture of the whole property with you in front, so the property is recognizable, and then a property with you like that, so that you can actually, and one like this, so that you can read the date on the paper. This, as you can see there, is Wednesday, September the 5th, 2001. See how long I've been doing this. And that proves the day when you took control over that property. Make sure, and on that one you can't see it because I'm standing in front of it, but you need to stand to the side so that you're showing that notice that you pinned on the door. This makes it all nice and legal, and you'll never have any problem down the line. Okay. Now, once you've done that, no one else can take this property from you. No other squatter can come along. If squatters move in now, they're breaking the law. Because you've got control of the property, and they're trespassers because it won't have been empty, it won't have been unused for 6 months because you've got control over it. Now, what you need to do, once you've done this, you now need to do a bit of work, and you need to try to find the owners. And the best way to do that is talk to neighbours. That's the best thing I've ever done. And what I did, I had a friend of mine who she used to come. Some of you might remember this friend, some of the older people who went to PIN meetings, especially Berkshire PIN meeting 10, 12 years ago. I used to go there with an old lady. She was well in her 80s then. She was a friend of mine. And I used to take her along, and we used to knock on people's doors in the street and say, oh, this is my friend Mary. And she was friends with the people who lived in that street. She's anxious to know what happened to them. Do you know where they've gone and what happened to them? And we used to get invited in, get tea and buns and all kinds of stuff. And we used to end up knowing the whole history of everybody in that who was in that property. Fantastic way to do it. Sadly, that old lady friend of mine died about 10 years ago. But there we go. So you can talk to neighbours. That's the best way of doing it. You need to know where these people are. Principally, what you want to find out is if they're likely to turn up and spoil the party. That's what you're looking to establish. You can call the local council, find out the local council. They've got loads of information on properties. Is the council tax being paid? When was it last paid? That kind of stuff. Remember, you can ask all this on the Freedom of Information Act. They can't not tell you. And of course, the census. You can get the name of and address of the people who last lived there through the census. Fantastic way to do it. Okay, now I'm going to show you quickly some of the properties I've got over the years. This is one. Now there's a story with this one, because I'd actually claimed a property 3 or 4 houses up, and I was doing some work in the front. I think I was actually painting the front door or something. And as I was doing it, a car pulled up outside this house. Now opposite the other side of the road was a car body paint shop. And I was speaking to the guy from there, is a nosy bloke, the foreman, and he'd wandered over. And we were having a chat. He was asking me what I was doing. And I was explaining that I was doing some work painting it up. And a car pulled up, and a guy came out with some papers under his arm and walked down to the front door of this house, number 4. And this bloke said to me under his breath, "Hey, it's no use knocking on that door, mate. That's been empty for years." I thought, oh, good. So then I did my due diligence. Took the property. It took me less than £500 to completely get the place ready, do the painting, clean the garden, that bit of brickwork. The garden at the back was very, very clean inside. Within about 3 weeks, I'd let it, and I was getting £500 a week for it, £500 a month for it. So there you go. It's that easy. There's another one that I got. I found this. This was on. I saw this on the way to another property that I've got. And I was going around a roundabout, and that was just off to the side of the roundabout. I just saw it as I whizzed around the roundabout. So I went round again and pulled up in front. I got that property. Here's 2 on my way to Tesco's one day. I saw these 2 houses, a pair of them there, one with a green door, one with a red door, both empty, claimed both of those as well. Now, this is a fantastic one. This is in Hertfordshire. And that's how I saw it when I first saw the place. And the garden was totally overgrown. You couldn't even walk to the front door. You can see it had been shuttered up. The back garden, you would not believe. It was maybe 8 feet high in old cars, rubbish. Total mess. I went into the lounge, and that was the lounge. Complete mess. Just yeah, you know, it's like one of these programs you see on TV. These hoarders. A hoarder had lived in this place. It was totally awful. And I went up into the loft. The loft was with firewood. Can somebody turn this sound off? You've got on it. She's making. Thank you. The loft was chock full of firewood. I mean, what a fire hazard. And I went down there, and it was awful. I got some builders in. I had a building company at the time. I got my guys in with some skips to start clearing it all out, clear the back garden. They started clearing it all out. And in the middle of this lot here, they found the title deeds to the house. How about that? Anyway, I claimed that house, and that's done me very well indeed. Now, this was a house I got in Uxbridge. And this had been empty for 12 years, I found out. And remember when I said earlier about not doing houses where you can find the owners? Well, that's my golden rule. This was the only time I broke that rule. And I'll tell you the story. I found out the owners, this house, nobody set foot in the house for 10 years, and they'd been empty for 12 years. Now, the couple who lived there, they've got a son. The husband had died, and the wife and the son moved up to Yorkshire. They left the house empty, moved up to Yorkshire, and got a flat in Yorkshire. After 2 years, they came down to presumably to check mail and that, and went away again, and they haven't set foot in the property since. How do I know that? Because when I opened that door, and we couldn't open the door, it was piled high with mail that went back 10 years. But I thought, I went around the neighbours, and I got information from the neighbours. One of the neighbours had got a forwarding address for the couple. That's how I knew they were in Scotland. I wrote to them, then moved on. I got a letter back from whoever was in there. Then moved on. I had a telephone number. The telephone number was null and void. It couldn't be used. And I didn't know where they'd gone. I couldn't find them. I didn't know where they were. So I thought, well, they haven't been back in 10 years, so I should claim the property. So I did. So when we got inside, that's what it looked like when we got inside. Now, what's amazing is how clean it looks. Remember, this hasn't been touched in 12 years. The only mess is that little bit of dirt on the carpet that's been blown down the chimney. And there you can see our cleaning stuff that we brought in there. Now, you see that carriage clock on the mantelpiece? I'm going to tell you a very, very true story here. That carriage clock obviously was stopped. I picked it up and opened it. On the back, there's a little door. I opened the door and the movement was seized. I couldn't move it. It was seized. I was going to wind it up. I couldn't. The movement was seized. So I closed the door and put it back. As I put it back, it started ticking. And that clock started ticking until we were leaving to go out of the door, and then it stopped. And it never ticked again from that day onwards. How about that? I'm not telling you fibs here. That's absolutely true. You know, there's more to life than we ever can even start to think. And you know about curb appeal, and some houses give you a nice feeling. When I walked into that house, you get the warmest, friendliest feeling. You just feel so happy being in that house. I can't explain what it is. It wasn't cold. It didn't feel empty. It didn't feel strange. It just felt very warm and welcoming. And I'm telling you the truth about that clock. Don't ask me how it started ticking. I don't know, and I can't explain it. But look, that's the stairs. Look how clean those stairs are. Remember, empty for 12 years. Empty for 12. I cannot believe it. This is a kitchen. Look at the surfaces. Well, I possess a property. We put a notice on the door, started doing the cleaning up, and lo and behold, over a weekend, ain't gone over the weekend, we'd done 5 days worth of cleaning and everything in the house. And on the Monday, I got a text from the owner of the property saying, "That's my house. What are you doing? Keep away from it." And I then find out that another neighbour, one a few streets away that we hadn't knocked, because it's a very built-up area in Uxbridge, we hadn't bothered knocking on their door. They'd seen people working. They'd seen us working in the garden house knew the owners, thought they were coming back, and they called them and said, "Oh, I see you're coming back." And the owner said, "No, we're not. What's happening?" And that's how it happened. So when I say don't do properties where you can trace the owner, I mean it. Don't do it. This is the one and only time I broke my rule, and it's the only time I've lost a property. Don't do it. Okay, now look, how many times have you driven past something like that? Hundreds of times, probably today, certainly. It looks like nothing, but when you look on an aerial view on Google, and this is what I mean by my Google Earth, when you look on Google Earth, that's what it looks like. Now, the view you saw was from here, the right-hand side, that corner, bottom right-hand corner there, looking in. That's where the gate is. Now, it's a big patch of land, and you can see by these houses right there, how many more houses you could get on there. It's unlikely that that building permission would not be granted for that, because with all the properties around. How about this one? How many times have you driven past that kind of thing? Happens all the time. Well, look, here again, that's what it is. And the view was the road from that street, A56. Again, you'll get 3 or 4 houses on there easily, or 2 big ones like the big ones that are around. It's a very exclusive area, that one. Here's another area to find on Google Map. Look, on Google Earth, it's there. You can tell. You can see straight away that it's overgrown. It's not been used. And in fact, from the bottom right-hand corner, the top left-hand corner was a footpath. There's a footpath going through there. So we know that wasn't being used except as a footpath. Here's another one we find, 2 areas of land there. Now that's a farm. That's in Wales, North Wales, and we divided that into 2 and claimed it in 2 parts. And the bit with the houses on there, that is the land with the houses on. You can see one of our people on the side there. And you can see the other bit, the other section of the land there. We actually sold that bit of land. We sold our time on it rather than that. Now this is the best bit, because just north, running from left to right, just north across this, is one of the main roads into London. This is within the M25, and this is acres of land. It's around 10 acres of land. Look at all the building land around there. It hasn't been used for donkey's years. The only people who use it are dog walkers. I went to the council and said, what do they know about this land? They had nothing. It's not registered. Nobody's ever laid any name to it. And now it's mine, and it's worth millions. You can imagine in London. You can imagine how many houses you can get on there. Look around it. So this is the kind of stuff you can get. Now I'm going to tell you something about, and it just came to my mind when I talked about North Wales. I had a guy came on one of my courses once, and he was a go-getter, this guy. He came from Liverpool. And within, I think, 4 months, he'd got something like 14 properties. And he was working on them. He got straight in. He wasn't waiting, a long time. He got straight in doing them. And he was telling me a story one day. He got a church in North Wales. It was an old church, it was dilapidated. And he grabbed this church purely for the floors inside. He apparently got fabulous hardwood floors, the herringbone floors inside. And he said, I'm having those floors, they're beautiful floors. But one winter, or the following winter, he got an angry call from somebody saying, in a Welsh accent, I'm not going to try and replicate because I can't do a Welsh accent, but you can imagine a real old Welsh guy saying to him, "Here, what are you going to do about my dad?" And my mate said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, there's been a lot of rain. The rain's washed the bank away, and my dad's coffin is sticking out of the ground. And what are you going to do about it?" So my mate flew around there pretty quickly, took his notice off the door, whipped the floor up and left it to it. But that's just some of the funny things that happen. The same guy, incidentally, told me he was doing another house. This was in Liverpool, and it was a terrace house on the main road, and they were going in and doing a full refurb. And they noticed an old lady every day walking by, and she'd stop and poke her head in. And they thought, what a sweet old lady. Interesting what we're doing. And the day they were fitting the boiler, they had the plumbers in there fitting the boiler. And she came up and stopped and came into the house. And she said, I think I should tell you that this is my house. And what have you done with the gold doubloons that were in here? And they had a real problem proving that there weren't any gold. It was the old lady's house and they lost the house. And that's again because they didn't wait. He was too impatient. They didn't wait long enough. He did, in fact, finally prove, because he did do some of what I said, that the lady hadn't left any gold doubloons in there, but he lost the house. So if you do what I say, you won't have any problems. Now, what you can't do when you get into a house, because at some point you're going to get in there. What you can't do when you get in is you can't break in. You can't break the door down because that is burglary. That's a criminal offence. And what you can't do is use electricity, because strangely, there's a law called the abstraction of electricity law, which says if you use the electricity, you're breaking the law. That's a criminal offence. So don't use electricity. You can use the gas, you can use the water, but not the electricity. Now, what you should do when you take over a property is tell the police. You don't remember, you're not doing anything illegal, and somebody at some point is going to see you working in there, and they might go down and tell the police, and we've had this before, and the police turn up, and the bobby that turns up, they don't know anything about the law, they haven't got a clue what we're talking about. So as long as you go down in the first place, take your thing from the Ministry of Justice and everything like that, and explain what, and I always put it down in writing, take it down to them and tell the police, and you'll get varying responses, from complete indifference to somebody who writes the whole thing down in shorthand. But tell the police, and that you don't have any inconvenience down the line. Do not break the door to get in. Use a locksmith, and when that locksmith is there, video him doing it, and as you go in, video yourself entering the property and do a complete walk around. The reason is that if there's anything of value in there, you need to show it on video, and you need to keep it for 6 months. That's all you need to keep it for 6 months. If nobody claims it, then it's either yours or you can dispose of it. But it was only by doing that walk around that my mate proved that lady hadn't left any gold doubloons in the house. But you can prove that the state of the house. If there is a suite in there and it's been rained on and it's a mess, there's mice in it. You just throw that out. You don't have to keep it. But you'll save yourself a lot of problems if you video yourself every single little bit, the garden, the doors, the windows, everything. Show everything on that first video and do a commentary as you walk through it. And remember, you've got to keep any articles of value for 6 months. Then after that, you can keep them for yourself or dispose of them as you like. And also, you can use the property as your own during the time period, during the holding period. Not only can you, but land registry likes you to, because you're showing one of the things that you need to do here. And the things that you need to do are, you need to show an intention to possess the property. You don't have to actually possess it. All you need to prove is an intention to possess the property. And by sticking that notice on the door and going in and doing things here and there, then you're showing that intention. You need to show your possession needs to be adverse. That means it can't be with any kind of permission. So if you're paying a landlord a rent, you can't claim adverse possession. If it's not adverse, you're there with permission. If somebody gives you a letter saying, yeah, you can go, you can stay in there, it's not adverse possession, and you will not get it at the end of the day. Your possession of the property needs to be totally without anybody's permission. Your possession needs to be exclusive, which means that you're not sharing it with the whole town. Like all those people dog walking on my land. I put notices up on the trees around there, allowing people, saying it was private land, but giving them permission to walk their dogs on the land with my permission. And you can do that. You can let other people use the land or the property, but it has to be with your permission. You need to have exclusive possession, so nobody else can have possession of it as well as you. Your possession needs to be continuous. And land registry, I've been into this with land registry, and I say, well, how long is continuous, or how long do you consider to be not continuous? And they have said to me that, well, if we consider that you've gone 3 months without being involved with the property, then we would consider that to be broken possession. It's not continuous possession. So what I say you do is that every couple of months you go to the property and you take pictures of it. And if you need incidentally, you've also, once you've taken that, when you've taken possession of it, you have a legal responsibility to protect the public from it. So you may have to, if the doors and windows aren't boarded up, board the doors and windows up. If it's on a main street and there's roofs sliding off, fix them. That kind of thing. If you've got a garden, clean the garden, cut the grass, but do things like that every couple of months, and keep those in a photo album. You can do that. Another thing you can do is apply to all these coupons and things you get, and free this and free that. Apply to everything and give the address, give your name and the address of this property, so that a letter will get posted through your door with your name on it and the address of the property, and keep those, because that is proof down the line that you've had continuous possession of the property. And of course, openness, which is what I said before, that you can't do it privately. You have to, people have to know that you're involved with it, which is why you put your name on that notice going in. That's pretty straightforward, I think. Now, it's not only I've got to rush now because we're running out of time. There's so much I could tell you about it. Some incredible stories I can tell you about this that I've learned over the years that I don't have time to tell you. But it's not just houses and land you can take. You can take factories. You can take you can take beaches. So you can claim a beach. If a beach isn't possessed by anybody, you can claim it. You can claim that beach and the land back from it, and you can charge people to go on it. You can do what you like. Now, when somebody dies, if they die without leaving a will, and they have nobody to leave it to, then it's not left to anybody, and it goes to the Crown. That property is left by the Crown, so it's called a Crown possession. You can claim Crown property. Now, all Crown property is handled by the Treasury Solicitor, the bona vacantia division. Property that's left to the Crown is called bona vacantia. It means free goods, basically. Bona vacantia. So the bona vacantia division of the Treasury Solicitor handles all Crown property. And guess what? Not only can you claim Crown property, but the Treasury Solicitor will help you to do it. And once you've claimed it, once you've put your notice on, they say in their website, they will not take it off you. They'll not come and claim it off you. It could only happen in this country, right? It's fantastic. There's so much in this, you won't believe it. Now, when you come to claim your title, you do it by submitting your claim to Land Registry. You don't need a solicitor. You fill out the forms. If anybody is going to do it and they need help, just see me, I'll show you how to do it. Done enough of them. You just claim title you get your paperwork from the Land Registry, you fill it all out, you send it off along with your photo album and all the proof you've got, and it becomes yours. Now, there's a little caution there. If it's unregistered property, then you get it virtually straight away, and nobody can come back and take it off you. If it's registered property, then the registered owner, what happens is that the land registry will write to the registered owner and say that you're claiming their property, but they will only write to the address that he is registered with Land Registry. Now, part of your due diligence in the early days when you're trying to find out who owns it, of course, you're going to go to Land Registry and you're going to look it up and find out whether it's registered or not. If it's registered, you'll see the name on it. You'll also see the name. You'll also see the address on there for delivery of mail. And if it's the same address as a property you're trying to claim, you know it's a pretty safe bet, because when you come to claim it 10 years on, and the Land Registry write to the owner, they're writing to him at your property, basically, so the registered owner will never get it. But if he did, he's got 90 days to object to you getting the property. But then again, he can't just turn up and say, no, they can't have it because it's mine. He's got to disprove your claim, which Land Registry would be looking at anyway. But he can't disprove your claim, so you will get it anyway. So you don't have to worry about anything. It's just some hoops you've got to go through. But that's how you get your property. And of course, for unregistered, you just put your claim in and you get it straight away. Simple as that. Now, your Property Network magazine in April 2012, I did an article on this adverse possession, and that was it. And funny enough, I was doing a PIN meeting in Liverpool, I think it was, and the people were there from YPN. The people were there and heard me talking about it. They never heard of it before, and they thought, this is incredible. Will you write an article for the magazine? And I said, yeah, but in the meantime, they went and got their solicitors involved and said, is this true? Is what he's saying? Is it legal? And of course, their solicitor said, yes, it is, because of course they couldn't put an article in that was illegal about a strategy that's illegal. So we went and did it. And of course, I've written my book there, Free Land and Property, which anybody can get. Just email me and I'll tell you I can get that. Now, bad news is I don't run day courses anymore. I used to run courses on this kind of stuff, and I used to have a fair amount of success with it. But like with any course, 98% of people don't do anything with the information. That used to drive me crazy, because on a full day of doing this, you imagine I could give all the information, all the paperwork, all the contract, everything you need to do it. You could go out and do it the next day, and people did, but people didn't as well. 98% of people didn't, and it used to crack me up. So that's why I stopped doing courses. But I do teach it now through our mentoring program, and I've now got a 98% success rate, because people in our mentoring program who do it, 98% of people do it, get success, and that's what I want. That's fantastic. Now you've got to see that the sky is the limit. With adverse possession, you know, if you've been with us for the last 4 meetings that we've done, you'll see that there's some fantastic strategies that we're showing here, and we haven't finished yet by a long chalk. And I'm guaranteeing very few of you knew about getting free land and property, and as much as you like, millions of pounds worth. There's no limit. You can do what you like with this. It's simple, it's straightforward, and you can make money while you're in that holding time. We've got all the paperwork and the contracts you need for any deal. And it's all completely free to our students and business partners. We do charge it to other people, because also we're a business and we're here to make money, and you wouldn't expect us to do anything else, would you? Now, I've got a question here. Do you think that you could be successful and make money if you were a business partner with John and myself? Of course you could, because we've been in business for a long time. We know what we're doing. We work together well, and we're looking for people to work with us in a 50-50 business partnership. That's 50% to you and 50% to John and I. And what we'll do is we'll form a proper limited company business. We'll work together, you and I, and we'll show you what to do, and we'll do it together, and we become successful that way. And you will certainly become more successful doing that than you ever would on your own. You'll eventually get there on your own, but believe me, it takes a long time. You make a lot of mistakes getting there. I know, because I've been through that. I've done that myself. Now, this is a perfect time to start or to accelerate your property investing career. Don't waste the opportunity. Every week I keep coming up, and John and I keep coming up with these fantastic strategies that you can't fail at. Look where we did the lease option. You get property for virtually free. This is for free. Go out and do it. You don't need to be buying a house. Listen, buying a house with a mortgage is a waste of time. Don't even consider going there, and forget rent to rent. I mean, I will be covering rent to rent, but really, it's not what you want to be doing when there's other much better strategies to do. Look, do it on your own, or do it with our help. Do it with our help, experience and guidance, but do it. Just go out there and do it. You won't get anywhere.
Hola.
You won't get anywhere. So who is that?
It's darling to you.
Thank you. You won't get anywhere sitting on your backside doing nothing. You're not going to get rich that way. For goodness sake, get out there and do it. If you think you can't do it, speak to John and I. Join our mentoring program. We'll show you how to do it. Personal mentoring. We'll take your hand and we'll listen. This is a question I ask every week. How would you feel if you woke up tomorrow morning and you knew without any shadow of a doubt? I've got a bit of line missing there, so you've stolen it. How would you feel if you woke up tomorrow morning and you knew without any shadow of a doubt that you will be 100% successful at everything you attempted? How would you feel? If you knew that tomorrow morning, everything that you attempted, you'll be 100% successful at, 100% successful at it, how would you feel? How would that change your life? It would, I'm telling you. It changes everybody's life. It changes the way you think. It changes the way you look at life. It changes the way you look at the world. It changes the way you look at business. It changes the way you look at other people. It changes the way you look at yourself. It changes the way you dress. It changes the way you walk. It changes the way you talk. And it changes the way you do business. I'm telling you, it changes your life totally. We're going to show you how to do that. And one of the ways we're going to show you how to do that is just a little thing I've got showing here for you. Look, on the left there is a thing called your story. And that's what people have inside their head. You know, you're either confident, yeah, I can do that, no problem. Or, you know, well, yeah, I'm not very good, but I'll have a go. You know, that's your story. Whatever's in your head is your story. Now, on the right is a project. It could be any project, no matter what it is. It might be chatting up a partner, you know, that you fancy, or starting a business or getting fit, doesn't matter what it is. But if you go into it with less than 100% because you're thinking, well, I'm not very good at that, but I'll give it a go, you're not likely to succeed, are you? You're likely to fail. And if you fail, that failure, that result justifies your story. And you start saying, you say to yourself, see, I knew it wouldn't work. I'm used to that kind of thing. Why did I ever bother? it never works for me. You know, and I hear this kind of nonsense all the time. Drives me crazy, but you get it. And what happens is that you end up in a descending spiral of negativity, because the next time a project comes up, you've got that last failure in your mind. You say, "Oh well, I don't know. I could do. I suppose I could have a go, but I didn't know good at the last one." You know, you just forget it. You don't want to get there. Look, if you've got the same thing coming up here, your story is one that, well, look, the last time I did it, it was 100% success. Of course I can do it. I'm good at this kind of stuff. I have no problem with that. You're going to give it 100%. If you give it 100% and you're going there positively, then the result justifies your story. That positive result justifies your story. And you're saying, see, I knew that. I'm good at that kind of stuff. No problem. I'm good at that kind of stuff. And you're then in an ascending spiral of positivity, because everything you do, you think, hey, no problem. Everything I do, I'm good at. And that's what I'm talking about when I said here, how would you feel? Yes, we can teach you, we can show you how to get to that stage. We can show you how to get to this stage. And we cover that in our mentorship. Our mentorship, we get asked this every week, and somebody might ask it this week, what do you cover in your mentorship? Well, we cover a lot of stuff. I'll cover that in a second. But what we do is we give you the skills and the confidence to help you succeed in property investment. So we do 3-month, 6-month, and 12-month personal mentoring programs. Contact us about what you'd like to do. It's up to you what you want to do, or you do it on your own. We don't care. You just show us. You show us that you can do what you can do it, and we'll invite you to come into business with us, which is what you want to do. So, what we show you in our personal mentoring program, what we include is one-to-one unlimited mentoring with me. It's personal mentoring. You got unlimited access to me. I don't care if it's 8 o'clock on a Sunday night. If you've got a question, you phone me and I'll take it. It's not once a month in the classroom with 30 other people. It's me and it's you. And it's personal, and you get my personal attention. We give you support in sourcing deals and identifying property. We give you guidance in buying, selling, and growing your property portfolio. We give you all the resources, including legal contracts, documentation, and introduction to estate agents. We give you training and support in implementing strategies, including lease options, and we help you develop a successful mindset, which helps you to get on and become successful. And you see how we're going to do that. And I want you to remember one thing. Look, it's in our interest that you are as successful as possible, because we want successful people to go into business with us, because that's going to help us. And it's only by us helping you and you helping us that we're in a symbiotic relationship here, and we both make more money and both become better and better. And that's what we're looking at doing. So don't hang around. If you're interested, call me. Now, our personal mentoring fees work out much cheaper than doing it yourself, believe me, and it's quicker by years. You could be successful within 6 months. You change your life in 6 months, I promise you. And remember the old what if. Remember I sent a mail out saying, the two most powerful words in the English language, what if? What if I did it and I was fantastically successful? What if? How would it change my life? Or what if I did it and I failed? What? Don't think what if failed. Think what if I did it and I was successful? Because if you did it with us, you will be successful. And there's absolutely no question about that. Now, we've got a Q&A session. I don't know if we've got any questions there, John, have we? John, wake up. He's fallen asleep, look. Or he's gone to get a coffee. All right, look. I don't know, see if I can see any questions in here myself. Can't hear. Oh, I think he's got his sign up. I can't hear him. How long should you wait till you start working on a house? Jahangir said that one. You can. I give it 6 months, or until you're confident that you're going to take over the property. You need to be completely sure that nobody's going to come back and spoil the party, really, because you don't want to waste the money. Because if the true owner comes back, if he's a real owner, he proves he's the owner, then you have to give him the house back. That's the law. So you need to be sure, like I said in that one property, be sure that there's nobody going to come back and spoil it for you. Another question here: do you have to be a UK resident citizen to do this? No, anybody can do it. Anybody at all, you can get off the boat over, walk up into London, and do the first property see that's empty. Question: what happens if subsequently the owner turns up and you're renting it out? Well, what happens if he turns up? And we had somebody this happened to recently. What happens? Now, quite often if they've left the property empty for 10 or 15 years, they've obviously got no, it's not very often it happens. I only know one occasion when it happens, once it's been rented out. The owner took possession back. What happened then was that from that moment, then the tenants became his tenants, up to him to sort out. And no, he can't claim back any rents that have been paid in the meantime. All the rents that have been paid to you are yours to keep. He can't claim them. But from the moment he claims his property back, then the tenants are his. Isn't the owner likely to call the mobile number and come after you? Well, it can't come after you because you haven't done anything wrong. The whole reason for putting the mobile number there is to get people coming out of the woodwork. You need to see if there's anybody around. And I had a guy on one course in North London, and he'd moved into his house, and he noticed there was a property in the same street as his, it was all boarded up. And he found out that it had been boarded up for 12 years. So he said, on Monday, I'm going to go and I'm claiming that house. This is Sunday. He said, tomorrow I'm claiming that house. And he did. He went out and he put his notice on that door. And on that evening, he got a call from the owner who lived in the same street. And nobody knew the owner, this guy was the owner, but he lived in the same street, proved he was the owner. And you never know. You never know with property. Don't be thinking as well that you can either go and do a deal with the owner and buy it off him. For some strange, they never do that. If somebody is prepared to sit and watch their property deteriorate into the ground, they're not going to do a deal for it. There's something in their mind that keeps them doing that. But they can't come after you. And it's only a mobile number. They can't trace you anyway, because all you've done is put a mobile number on there, which is non-traceable. So I say go to Tesco and get a cheapie. There you go. I think that's all that's it. That's all the questions there. Look, thank you for attending. Now, our next webinar next Monday, 7 o'clock next Monday. Don't miss it. I don't know what it's going to be about yet. I haven't got a clue, but it's going to be fantastic. We're in the process now of editing all our previous webinars. So this coming week they should be available. So people who just joined today or last week and want to see the earlier webinars, you will be able to see those. We'll let you know when they're available. You can watch them again. So come on and watch our next one. You'll be getting an email probably tomorrow about next week. Register for it. And here's my details again. There's my email address, peter@pika.uk.com, and 07739 379 612, my mobile number. You can get me anytime on that. Anytime on that. I'm not one of these people, if you've been on courses, you've been on things like that, and the next day you try to get hold of the bloke who ran the course, you can't get hold of them, can you? They're hiding behind secretaries and websites. It's a joke. And to my mind, it's almost fraudulent, really. I just do not, I don't do with that. If I'm here telling you stuff, I'm not hiding anywhere. There's my email address. There's my mobile number. Call me anytime. I'll answer it. So there we go. It's been great to have you here. Thanks very much. It's been super to have you. We've had a fantastic tonight. I think we have 51 people or something, which is brilliant. So look forward to seeing you all next week. And if you've got any questions about this, email me. If you really want to get into this, you want me showing you how to do this, come and talk to me. Email me or call me. Talk to me about the mentoring program. You can do it for 3 months. If you do well in that 3 months or 6 months or whatever it is you do it, we'll say to you, look, you're too good to be in business on your own. Come and join us. Come and join John and I. Let's do it together and let's build a huge business between us, and we'll all gain from that. And that's what we're looking to do. So, many hands make light work, as they say. It's always better to have more people doing it. So see you next week. Thank you very much. I think I don't know where John is. What's happened to him? I'll find out in a minute. Probably fell asleep. But goodbye from John and goodbye from me. I'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.